In this lecture, we will continue talking about sheets, but this time we will focus on scales and prepare for printing the documentation of a project. The scale of any drawing is defined within each view, not on the sheet itself. Also, a sheet could contain drawings in multiple scales. So we could change the scale of a view in the viewport. You can go to the properties and switch the scale to the one you want, for example 1/100, and notice how the drawing becomes smaller. Then if you open the view, you can confirm that the scale has been updated. So the other way is to change the scale here, and now I'm going to set it back to 1/50. Now imagine we need to print this drawing in two different scales, 1/50 and 1/100. There are several ways to achieve this, but what I recommend for beginners is to duplicate the view and then change the scale. I'm going to right-click in the view ground floor dimensions, and then choose duplicate with detailing because we want to preserve the dimension lines. In the new view, let's rename it to something appropriate. For example, ground floor dims 1/100. Press enter, and then we have to change the scale to 1/100. Also, let's adjust the dimension lines and also change the detail level to coarse and the visual style. Finally, I can create a new sheet and choose the option A3 this time. And let's insert a new view there by dragging it to the title block. As an exercise, I suggest you to rename this view to 150 and repeat the same steps for the first floor. Duplicate the view, rename it with the note 1/100, update the scale, set the detail level to coarse, and adjust the view style to hidden line. Then make the necessary adjustments as before. Now here's another tip. Click on the dimension text, and using the grip you can move it where you want. Let's place it below the line so it won't overlap the wall. Repeat the process for this one. Move the text a bit to the left, and you will notice that a leader appears when the text is significantly out of the center. We can also remove the leader from a dimension line by clicking on the text and change the segment dimension leader visibility to always on. Next, let's add both floor plans set to a scale of 1/100 to the new A3 sheet. Now, suppose I accidentally select the wrong view. Look, Revit notifies me that this view is already placed on another sheet and cannot be placed again. In order to maintain consistency in documentation, Revit only allows to place a view on only one sheet. Let's close the notification and add this time the correct views. Finally, let's learn how to print the documentation in Revit. First, rename the sheet and change the number to identify this is an A3 paper. On the name, add 1/100 because it's the scale we are using there. Then add also the note 150 to the A1 sheet. To print, open the File tab and select Print. First, we need to choose the printer. Although I cannot print on A3 paper with this printer, I want to show you how this process works anyway. Under Settings, you can configure the paper size, orientation, or other options. But there is something important here. I recommend to use a zoom setting of 100% if you need to preserve the accuracy of the scale. Let's close this window. Then in the Print Range section, you can choose to print what's on the screen right now, the current sheet, or if you want to print multiple sheets, select this option to avoid printing them one by one. From this list, you can select the specific sheets you need to print, Or it's also possible to print other views, if you want to have a draft, for example. So let's use just the A3 sheet, because the other one is in A1, so a different size. And then you can click on OK to start printing. If you want to save your work as PDF files, I recommend using the PDF option in the Export section. In the Location field, choose the folder where you want to save the document. Then, under Zoom, select the same option as before. Then, on Paper Size, we are using the sheet size, which is A3. Finally, choose between vector or raster processing under the Create Output section. Finally, click on Export to generate the PDF files. Finally, you can save these settings to keep them for the next time.